Una y dos. Y dos. Una y dos. Una y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortes NYC Livestream, the podcast. This show broadcasts twice a week out of New York City. We are your hosts, Cortes NYC
and Carla de Puerto Rico.
And on the show, we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist.
And I'm a singer.
And this is episode 34, Independence.
As always, you can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, and Spotify.
And I just want to give a couple of shout outs. I haven't done this in a while. Let's go. Corrupted NYC at Graffiti Pins, Tabs 1, Megs GOMD NYC, Cochino Boy, Germs DJJ S1, Topaz, D Block 79, Grow, Bennett, D Double, his girl D, Visine Queen, Nova NYC, Prox, GWB, what's up homie, Chico and the Grim Podcast, yo yo yo, Guillotine Cuts, Twisted Creations 11, Shahida Williams, check her out at Shahida Textiles, my partner in crime, Dr. Greedy, K Dulce, SENYC 1983, Picture This 1NES.
Shout out to Kayla and Nicole, thank you for the support.
And yo, shout out to everybody on Instagram, shout out to everybody on YouTube, shout out to everybody on Facebook.
Shout out to everybody all around the world, and let's get started.
Freedom! Independence, Carla.
Independence Day.
All right, so this is Independence Week.
Yes.
And we are talking about what it's like to be free. How to be an independent artist. What does it feel like? What do you got to do? How to have your mind ready to be independent. How to prepare yourself.
The steps to follow.
All right. So, in preparation for this, I started looking around and said, well, let me see what other people, let me search the Googles and the YouTubes and find out what is the common knowledge for how to become an independent artist. What should you look out for? What's the whole point of it? And what should you prepare? How should you prepare yourself? And what I found was, for the majority of the information out there, it was about being an independent artist, meaning a musician. Which doesn't help me because I'm an artist, a visual artist. And a lot of it is a lot of like, to be an independent artist, you got to promote yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to make sure that your tracks and your music and your beats and, your production and the touring and your manager, like all this shit that has to do with being an independent musician, right? But nobody gives you information on how to be an independent visual artist. Yet that is what everybody wants to be.
That's interesting.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
When you become a visual artist, you want to be independent. Yeah. When you become a musician, you want to get signed to a record label.
That's true.
Yet the information you learn in their offering is how to become an independent musician, and for visual artists, you're asked out. So I figured, let me look. And what I found was, I found one lonely YouTuber, and I'm a big fan of YouTubers. I'm a big YouTuber, so I support all my YouTubers out there, my fellow YouTubers. I found one lonely YouTuber called Bobby Chew. That's his handle, Bobby Chew. And Bobby Chew had a video about being an independent visual artist. And I thought, what? I found the Holy Grail. I found the man who's got the knowledge. I'm going to follow this man, Bobby Chew.
Nice.
Let me pay attention to what he's got to say. And you know what? It paid off. His video was good. He had about 8 bullet points of information.
That's good.
All of it made sense. All of it is something that I can co-sign.
Okay.
I'm not just giving you fluff or giving you some bullshit. I'm not just regurgitating somebody else's or stealing somebody else's posts. I believe in what he said. I think what he said made sense. And it was a brief video, so if you want to check it out yourselves, you guys can go ahead and get it from the source. It's Bobby Chew. Bobby, CHIU. But I'm gonna give it to you guys right here. I'm gonna give you the lowdown. So let's start from the first one. Live below your means was his first bullet point. And I'm sure, Carla, you're like, what does that mean? Live below your means. A lot of you fellow artists out there, independent artists, people who have freelanced, or even just visual artists, I think we all understand this. You have to live below your means if you want to be able to succeed as an independent artist. Living below your means that you don't splurge, you don't live in luxury. You actually try to live below your usual standard. You try to save as much as possible, save money. Unfortunately, it's something you have to do, but if you want to be an independent artist, you have to save for a rainy day. If you get a check for a couple of $1,000s, you got to put half of that away. You got to put it away for taxes, and you got to put it away for that rainy day when that check doesn't come in, that other check, and you need money. So I think his first bullet point was like one of the biggest ones, which was live below your means. You have to save money. I remember in a previous podcast we were speaking to Arawak.
Yeah.
And he
did said that. Actually, I saw a post that he said that somebody...
Arawak Films.
Yeah, so Alex Armando Torres, we interviewed him here for the podcast. And I did saw a post recently where he said that somebody asked him about an advice for new filmmakers, and that he said save money, but then he also was thinking that he will tell them to be able to wear different hats, because when you start being a filmmaker, you're gonna have to direct or produce or edit, so you have to be able to do all of that. But the save money part is something that some artists, when they're starting, they don't think about that.
I think one of the booby traps that I've fallen into in the past, listen, half the advice that I give you guys is really advice for myself.
Because you have learned from it.
Because I learned, and I have to keep reminding myself. So this podcast is a way of me to remind myself to remember these things. But I've fallen into this booby trap. I've gotten huge checks that because there was such a drought for so long, no rain. You know what I mean? That when you finally get that check, you just feel like, hey, I just want to buy those bottles. I just want to travel. I just want to, get those clothes that I couldn't get. I want to get those supplies I couldn't get. And all of a sudden, I find myself spending money that I would have never spent. And that's the problem. So that's the big booby trap. Live below your means and hold on to that even when the means are good and you have that money. Still try to hold on to that sense of, what am I going to do when that money's not real?
I mean, this should be a rule for everybody in life.
People don't follow this.
I know. But it should really, like, being independent. It doesn't matter if you're an artist or whatever. Being an independent person means that you have to be responsible with your money, and means that, yes, you have to save.
Yeah. All right. So when you get past that one, let's go into the next ones. Number 2 is create a compass. I don't know if that means much to people, but what he was trying to say was you want to create a moral compass. You want to define what are your morals, what are your beliefs. You want to put family first. You want to put your kids first. You want to put your spouse first, or love life first. When you want to become an independent artist, you have to set your culture for your company. You're your own company, right? And you want to set your boundaries and say, listen, I believe in this, and this is how I want to live. Because if you don't, you're going to be chasing checks, and your moral life is going to go crazy. Because you don't have a boss. Nobody's going to be checking for you to tell you, hey, you know what? Take that time off. Hey, you know what? That birthday matters. Hey, you know what? That anniversary matters.
You can get so into your art and into your work that you can forget about the world around you, right?
Yeah. And so by setting your compass, by setting your I guess your standards, your moral standards for your own business sense.
Like maybe like your golden rules.
Yeah, like you should, and I like that he set that up front. Like this guy Bobby Chu, he put that up front, and I like that. I think that caught my attention because he put it as number 2. He said things like don't lie,
right?
What does that mean? I mean, a lot of us lie all the time, but don't lie for your business as a practice, because you will get caught. And if you are the representative and the worker, you are the business, and at the same time you are also the representative of your business. You are the salesperson as well as the person producing.
Yeah.
You don't want to get caught in a lie. You don't want to get caught in even a white lie. You want to try to maintain some sort of moral standing for your company. You don't have the same buffer and the PR company that will protect you if you fuck up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you want to try to define these things for yourself. You also want to define success. He says, because you're your own company, you aren't going to have those milestones to say, oh, this year this company made $1 million in sales, blah, 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 whatever it is.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have other people praising you. You can only praise yourself. So you have to define for yourself what is success. Especially in the beginning, if you're your own independent artist, you're not going to be a billionaire right out the gate. So you're going to want to say to yourself, what am I okay with?
Yeah.
What level of success am I all right with, so that I can feel good to continue? You know, you don't want to be working hard at this for a year, 2 years, 3 years. You don't see a profit, and and then you give up.
Yeah.
If your goal is to be independent, being a millionaire should not be part of it. It can't. It just can't be a part of it. Being a millionaire is a possibility.
At least not at the beginning.
Yeah, it shouldn't be part of your game plan.
Yeah.
I think another point that he made was create positive change in people. He was stressing, as an independent artist, making connections with people, making changes in people's lives, touching people's lives in a certain way. And I think that kind of makes sense. If you're an independent artist, you want to make sure that you have a connection with your audience. And I think that's what he was hinting at. And I think the last one for this number 2 point is a good one, which is try to attract great people, not great talent. And that's tricky when you're starting. If you're an independent artist and you're starting, you tend to look for who's famous, who's successful. Those people are not always the best people, or maybe they might be good people, but they're not going to treat you the best.
Yeah.
Your relationship with them might not be the best because they're struggling to get to the top of the mountain, and then you're just starting. They're not going to want to give you a hand.
Exactly.
So what he emphasizes is try to find not great talents, but great people that are going to support you, people that are going to be honest and show the same virtues that you have, show the same belief systems that you have. Try to look for those people, surround yourselves with them, because those are the people that are going to help you on the way up. Sometimes the people that you admire and that you wish that you could know are not going to benefit you at all.
Yeah.
So you're best to admire them from a distance and just continue on your own path.
Definitely.
All right, so his next number 3, his next bullet point was, and this was a funny one, but it makes so much sense, and I do this still to this day, is be like an octopus. Be the octopus. Have many arms stretching out across your whole career. Diversify your projects.
Yeah.
Be involved in all kinds of projects. And I think this is a technique that all of us as artists, independent artists, or even half and half, full-time / independent artists, we do constantly, and we live by this. The more diversity and variety that you have in your projects, the more likely you are to succeed and to survive a drought. If you focus only on one aspect of your talents, let's say if I only focused on painting, when the painting buzz starts to slow down, I might starve.
Exactly.
So I have to have other things that are going to help me when that slows down. If my graphic design work or my web design work slows down, then I can go back to my painting work or my podcasting or my other things that might help to generate other buzz that will kind of bring everything together. I think the most successful artists are the ones that can find all those aspects of their talents and use them all.
I mean, and not only that, but because you're independent, you need to learn to do everything, right? Because nobody's gonna do it for you. So it's better if you get to learn a little bit of everything, and then little by little you can perfect each of your talents. But yeah,
this kind of reminds me a little bit of what D Double talked to us about on his episode of this podcast, where he said, you know, be aware of who you're talking to. You never know who you might meet. You never know who you might talk to. Diversifying your clients. Diversifying the people that you come into contact with by, you know, by meeting so many people, by using different aspects of your life to meet more people. These things might connect and might help you. So diversifying helps that way as well. For myself, people who know me, you might know me as a graffiti artist. You might know me as a graphic designer. You might know me as an illustrator. You might know me as a YouTuber. You might know me as an Instagrammer. You might just know me as a guy around the block from Queens. Like, you might know me from different aspects of my personality, but the fact that I've been struggling my whole life to bring these things together, trying to keep them together, is what makes me successful. It allows me to continue. And I define success as the ability to stay above water and to continue. You know, that's my success, that I'm able to continue to be an artist and not have to give up my dream and, I don't know, go work somewhere in Staples or something. I don't know what's the worst job. I'm trying to imagine what's the worst job ever.
I don't think that's the worst. I think the worst job would be like a garbage.
No, even garbage men have good days. Maybe a bartender. Bartenders have it rough. Bartenders, that's a rough job.
Yeah, that is a rough job. Having people there drunk, telling you stuff. And then if you get an order wrong, they're mad at you.
Yeah, I think.
And they're already bipolar because they're drunk.
I think that goes back to episode 33. I think this whole episode is a recap episode.
Yeah. I mean, after what, 33 episodes?
Yeah.
I think it's time.
All right. So I think the next one that our friend Bobby Chu pointed out, point number 4, is craft a routine, which I think is an amazing one. And he put a chart and everything. You guys check out his video. But he put a chart. He listed out his daily routine, and he said, you as an independent artist, you should craft your routine for your day. I do that whether I'm working full-time or not. I have a routine. It varies. Sometimes things change and make me adjust my routine. But for the most part, every day for myself, I can say there is a me time. There's a time in the day that I have for myself, whether it might be an hour, but I need to have that me time or I go crazy. I need to have that time that I can, even if it's just to sit down in a coffee shop and just think. Write down some ideas, anything it is, you know what I mean? But I need some me time. I need some serious work time. If I don't have in my day at least, I would say at least 4 or 5 serious focused hours that I actually accomplished something, then I feel like I didn't do shit for my day. And it sucks, especially in a full-time job where sometimes you get pulled around and people don't allow you to complete anything. You know, sometimes it will have those bad days where nobody let me finish anything. I did a little bit of everything, but I didn't get anything done. Those are the worst days. So I push and I strive to get myself to complete something in a day, and that's part of my daily routine, is to complete something. Sometimes I have to give in and just say, hey, today what I did, I made my bed. What'd you do today? I did my laundry.
I know, I have problems with routines. It's just, I feel because my schedules right now are so all over the place that I have problems with routines. I just cannot have a routine. And then when I have a day off, when I'm supposed to be doing something creative or for myself, I'm just like too tired. I'm like, let me just relax and do nothing. And then when I'm at work, I'm like, oh, I wish I would be home trying to sing something, or I'm thinking about songs that I could sing, and I'm like, Carla, why are you like this?
You're gonna have your days.
Yeah, but I think that's tough for anybody to create a routine. I feel like when you're at work, you have already your routine because it's your work. But to create a routine for yourself, I think it's the hardest thing to do.
Right, but I like what you just said there. When you're at work, you have your routine. Really analyze, and I'm going to challenge my listeners right now. I'm sure most of you work a full-time job somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I challenge you, think about it. Do you have your own routine, or do you have a routine that somebody gave you at work?
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
What this guy's saying and what I'm telling you, what Bobby Chu from YouTube is telling you, and what I'm telling you, Cortes, is have your routine.
Yeah.
So when somebody tells you, these are your responsibilities for the day, this is your day job, these are your responsibilities. Okay, now you figure out your routine and stick to it with those responsibilities. Get it done. I'm not telling you just do whatever you want to do all day. Mm-hmm. No, do what you have to do to get your job done. But you do it. Mm-hmm. You set your routine. That's when you take charge. You become a go-getter. You become a take charge person. You become your master of your own destiny, and jobs will change. You know, today you work at one company, tomorrow you work at another.
Yeah.
But you will know your routine, and you will bring that to the next job. Mm-hmm. When you go to that other company, you will have a sense of your own routine, and you'll offer that to them. And when you speak to them in a job interview, you'll be able to say this. You'll be able to describe your routine. This is how I like to do my work. I like to start like this, that, and the other. And you can share that sense of empowerment with your next employer. So even if you're working at a job right now that you might not have that freedom, mm-hmm. always understand that you are the master of your day, you know, and you can set that. Even if you're a waiter or a bartender or a
yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if you work at a bar,
yeah,
you know, you can set that. So I think that when he said that, craft a routine for the day, I think that hit me. Mm-hmm. I was like, word, like if you're not thinking about that, you are not meant to be an independent artist. I don't care what you think, you know, because that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
A lot of people out here are like, yeah, I'm an artist. I do my thing, you know. Mm-hmm. You're not doing your thing if you're not really doing your thing.
Yeah, I mean, and part of being, not all of being an independent artist is investing time on your craft. And if you don't have a real routine where you can invest time on what you're supposed to be doing because you're saying that you're an independent artist, then you're not really an independent artist.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You're just waiting for somebody to give you that break.
Yeah.
Give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
Instead of always making your own opportunity,
mm-hmm.
even if there's no money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next one, and we're running out of time, so I'm going to go through these next ones kind of quick because I think they're kind of quick and it makes sense.
Okay.
He said number 5, learn when to say yes and when to say no. That was a big one for me when I was starting out. And he makes a good point of it, and I agree 100%. When you start out, you start your career by saying yes. Mm-hmm. That's how you start. Every artist starts his career by saying, or her career by saying yes.
Yeah.
Yes to everything. Somebody gives you an opportunity, you're like, finally, somebody give me an opportunity. Yes, I'm going to do it. And the next person gives you an opportunity, say, yes, of course, I want to do that. And you continue to say yes. And as you become more successful, and this is what he's trying to point out to you, you have to learn to say no. So you have to learn to say yes, and then you have to learn to say no. Mm-hmm. Once you become successful enough, you do have to learn to say no. That is another mark of success as an independent artist, is the ability to say no to something. How do you say yes and how do you say no? When do you say yes and when do you say no? When I was coming up, I was making good money in the beginning as a freelancer, and I was seeing checks coming in, and I got some really good opportunities. And I remember at a certain point, some of those opportunities started hitting me the wrong way. The way they were talking to me, what they wanted me to do, the kind of art that they wanted me to do, or whatever it was, maybe I didn't believe in the project. Maybe I just felt like the project wasn't really relating to me. And little by little, I started realizing, wow, I'm actually going to say no to this, even if it has a lot of money involved. And I'm actually going to say no because it just didn't fit my point 1, 2, and 3 on this chart. It just didn't fit it. It just didn't fit my moral beliefs. It didn't fit my concept of who I want to be. It just didn't fit my sensibility, and I just felt like no. And I remember art directors being puzzled, like, why are you saying no? Like, this is good money, like, just take it. Or they would look at me and be like, but this is your style, like, why are you saying no? And I'd be like, I guess you don't really know my style. I guess you think you know me, but you don't really know me. You don't know what I really want to do. So it was tough. I remember when I first came across the opportunities to say no, I remember feeling very weird about it, especially if you've been struggling for a long time and you haven't seen money, and suddenly money's coming in, but then you have to say no to the money because it doesn't fit your criteria.
That's tough.
But you do have to cross that bridge. There is a point where you are going to have to cross that bridge. It shows maturity. It shows a sense and a commitment to what you believe in, to your art, to your craft. So I think his point number 5 is a big one. When to say yes and when to say no. Start by saying yes and then grow and learn how to say no. All right, so number 6. You are your own PR and your own public relations.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big point. Number 6, you are your own public relations. If you're an independent artist, you have to promote what you're proud of. You can't be shy.
Yeah.
There's no shy independent artist, starve.
True.
You know, you have to be the loudest and the proudest about your art. If you are an independent artist, I'm not saying just walk around all day talking to random people about your stuff, but I'm saying where it counts, promote it.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when it counts. It makes no sense for you to walk around promoting yourselves to people who doesn't give a shit.
Exactly.
And then when the time comes, you don't promote it.
Exactly.
Make sure that you promote it where it counts, and when it counts, and when you have the microphone, that you speak up and promote yourself, and you say what you gotta say and get your name out there.
Yeah.
And when people downplaying you, when people throw shade at you, be your own PR person. Counterattack it.
Exactly.
Look at them straight in the eyes and say, like, you know what? No, it's like this. This is who I am. You're trying to paint me a certain way, and I'm gonna flip that on you. And I think that's a big point. That's a huge point. Number 6. Speak for yourself.
Yeah. And
represent your brand.
More now.
You are your own brand.
Yeah. More now in the social media era. You have to be able to communicate with people, and not only on social media, because people think that just because you have a big following, blah, blah, that's great. But like you said, you have to be able to communicate with people like in a face-to-face environment, because social media is not the only thing, and sometimes your personality might say more than what you show on social media. So you really have to be able to communicate.
Exactly. That's a great point. Don't hide behind Instagram.
Exactly. Because there's a lot of people. This
that's
was
a whole
loud.
other episode. That's another episode.
Yeah, that's another episode. But there's a lot of people that they think that because, oh my God, I'm introvert and I say so much on social media, and they cannot communicate the same in a face-to-face environment. And really, it's a problem. But I think it's a problem that came because of social media. But that's another episode, another topic. But yeah, just be able to communicate.
Yeah, and realize that you're your own brand, and you're not Nike, you're not Reebok,
If you don't talk, nobody's gonna talk for you.
You're not Apple.
No.
You're not. You know what I mean? You're not these big companies. You are your own PR company, and you are gonna have to face people face to face and promote yourself.
Yeah.
And you can't be shy when you see them face to face. You have to represent yourself properly.
Yeah.
All right. The last 2. Number 7. Stay organized. Have your own to-do list. So important. We live by that. This whole podcast is built around it.
We had an episode on organization.
If you guys listen to this podcast and you're on board, if you are true fans of this podcast, then you are on board with this. Stay organized. To-do lists. have your to-do list, check them off. When they get crazy and the checks are too many and you're crossing things out, rewrite it. A new to-do list. Throw the old one out, rewrite it. Throw that one out, rewrite it. To-do lists are life. For life, you're gonna have to-do lists until you die. All right, so that's what we live by, and I think that was a big point. Number 7, stay organized, have a to-do list, and then number 8, design your own life. That's what he said, and I agree with that. Bobby Chu, thank you, man. Thank you for this. Design your own life. Bobby Chu designed his. Cortes NYC designed his. Carla de Puerto Rico is designing hers. And you guys, our fellow listeners, you guys are designing your own lives. Let's make it happen, people.
Pero si no estás haciendo todo igual, no tiene ningún color el paso que hace. Separa menos tiempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 y 10.
Culture talk.
Yes.
Carla, what do you have for this culture talk?
Well, we're gonna be discussing different stories of independence in Latin American countries.
Interesting. So you have a short list of a few countries?
Yeah. So let's start with Mexico, which is in North America. They got their independence in 1822. They were a colony from Spain, and there was a revolution against the representative government.
Oh, okay.
And as a result, Mexico is today an independent country, and they still hear their people out, and people go out to vote, and they are a very important economy in the world, even though some people don't know about it.
True. Okay.
Another country that we should know about is Brazil. Brazil is in South America. They got their independence in 1822. They were a colony of Portugal, and they got their independence because the Portuguese that were born in Brazil were not feeling that they were the same as the Portuguese from Portugal.
Okay.
So they really wanted to have their own land.
Sounds similar to the United States.
Yeah. So as a result, Brazil is an independent country today. Brazil is the world's 8th largest economy as of 2017. And even though they have had ups and downs in the government, the people still rise up and go out to the street if something's happening.
Okay.
The next one is Haiti. Haiti is an island in the Caribbean, and it was a French colony. They got their independence in 1804 as a result of a revolution against the government of France.
Okay.
And since then, Haiti has been an independent country. They had obviously their ups and downs in economy, but they still strive as a culture that is strong and that is inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, the revolution is, I think, one of the most known or inspiring in the Caribbean because of the nature of the underdog story.
Yeah.
The fact that it was slaves revolting. Okay.
The next one is Venezuela. Venezuela is a country in South America, and they got their independence in 1811. They got their independence because the Spanish people that were born in Venezuela were going against the high taxes and the little freedom that they had in their own land. So as a result, Venezuela got their independence, and today Venezuela is an independent country that is a huge resource for the rest of the world because it has one of the largest oil reserves. So this makes it an important asset to everybody. Then continuing with Cuba. Cuba is an island in the Caribbean. It was a Spanish colony, and they got their independence in 1902. And there was a writer and journalist that is called Jose Marti, that he was an important figure for Cubans at this time. He inspired Cubans to fight for their independence. And in his words, he said that revolution should bring new economic life to Cuba. So that was the reason why they wanted to be free and have their independence. And as the result, there was a second revolution, the one that maybe you should know about, that it was an armed revolt conducted by Fidel Castro's revolutionary 26th of July movement. And it was against the authoritarian government of Batista. It started in 1953, and in 1959, his government, the government of Batista, was replaced with a revolutionary socialist state.
Which brings Cuba to where it is now.
Now, yeah. And more than anything, with this revolution, what it transformed was the relationship between Cuba and the United States.
True. Okay.
And the last one on my list is Puerto Rico.
Woohoo!
Puerto Rico is an island in the Caribbean, and it was a Spanish colony, and they got their independence in 1868. The reason for it, they were just frustrated with the lack of political and economical freedom that they had in the island. So a group of revolutionaries got together in the town of Lares, and they wanted to get their independence, and they did for a day. But then they were moving to another town to meet with another group of revolutionaries, and they were taken down by the Spanish militia.
Wow, so they had their independence for one day.
One day.
Incredible.
And then in 1898, the United States won Puerto Rico after winning against Spain in the Spanish-American War. But Puerto Rico wasn't declared a Commonwealth of the United States until 1952.
That's a long time.
And that's the status of Puerto Rico as of today.
Okay, so although Puerto Rico has its own identity, it is a country. Mm-hmm. Its independence is still something that it hasn't achieved yet.
Yeah.
Not
exactly.
a true independence.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do you think of these stories of independence?
I think they're complicated, especially the last one, the Puerto Rico one. I mean, I know also Colombia had its independence, and it was part of a bigger territory. It was part of something called the Gran Colombia, and it had the history of Simón Bolívar fighting the Spanish, kicking them out, and then there was infighting within. Back then, the Gran Colombia, the Grand Colombia was Ecuador, Venezuela and Colombia, and they split up into 3 different countries. I mean, that's complicated already, let alone some of the other countries that you mentioned and the complications that they had. Even Mexico were saying that they had their independence, but they had also a revolution after their independence. That I think a lot of these Latin American countries have been able to are always seeking independence beyond just claiming independence, and I think it's because the governments aren't able to stay stable. And I don't want to point any fingers, but I think more stable governments tend to disrupt those governments in Latin America. They tend to try to destable them. It's a political technique of keeping your neighbors down. And I think it's obvious because these countries do have their independence, but they still struggle, and they continue to struggle, and they, the lack of a stable government, lack of stable economies make these countries struggle over years or over centuries. And another interesting thing is how you're going through these dates, and a lot of it is in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And it's like the United States was in the late 1700s.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like the United States was first in their independence, and then a lot of these other countries started to develop their independence from, as colonies into their own identities. But the United States is the one that kind of stayed stable. I mean, they had a civil war. Mm-hmm. We can't forget that the United States had a huge civil war, and it was a country that was divided, but they never split they managed to stay together. And for whatever reason, maybe it was just economic, things. And I mean, I'm not going to give a whole history lesson because I'm not an expert on history here, but, the United States managed to keep itself together and has continued to do so, even though right now, in the political climate that we're in, who wants to celebrate Independence Day in this country? Nobody. Do we feel divided? Yes. I mean, we're as divided as we ever were. I mean, even though we're united.
Right.
We're United States, but we're a bunch of states with different identities and different ways of seeing things. So it's interesting that in Latin America, we have so many countries, I mean, just from what you're describing, that have gone through so many changes, and the people, I think culturally, we have this thing about still looking for independence and looking for our freedoms.
Yeah, I mean, while I was researching, I was watching a video that it was trying to explain that we cannot look at Latin American countries and say, well, they're so behind and they don't have the same resources as European countries or even the American culture, because this is not the end of history. We are just in the middle. Yeah. And the guy that he was talking on the video, he was trying to explain that if we think about the United States, it is a young country as well. So what we have to think is maybe how within Latin American countries that had a lot of struggle economically and still have a lot of struggle economically and in culture and society, maybe how they can work it out to be, I don't know, a more successful country or system. I feel like it's the system in the Latin American countries that is failing.
I mean, but also you got to think of it. My brain is rushing to think of some of the things that I've remembered about the United States history. But you got to also remember the United States history. You had the French and the Dutch. You had the German. You had other countries and other immigrants from Europe that helped form the United States. The Irish, the Italian. Yeah. You know what I mean? You had this unity of all these different European people coming here and throwing their military in here, and you had the French Indian War, and then you had the Spanish American War. Like you had wars where other countries were allies to the United States and the colonists and helped them to take down or expand against other forces. So I don't it's hard to compare North America, the United States, such a big territory, and all the property that was taken or seized from other territories, compare it to Latin America, where Latin America basically got divided up.
Exactly.
Like the people themselves divided the lands up. Yeah. And instead of being one solid land, it got chopped up into smaller pieces, and people started forming their governments. So it's different. It is different. I mean, when we think of Independence Day here in the United States, and you think of independence, it's so romanticized as this ideal that was achieved. Yet we're so divided. It's almost like a facade. It's like a mask that's put onto a divided country. Yeah. Just for the sake of economy. I mean, what really is the best mask is that everybody can make some money. As long as everybody's making money, you stay together. You stay working together. Exactly. And maybe that's the problem in Latin America. But I don't know. I have my views on that. Like who's influencing the governments down there? Other outside influences that are disrupting governments. That happens.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, but I think on the level of culture and people, I think independence is something that is celebrated in Latin American countries. The concept of independence, even in the case of Puerto Rico, that if it might have had independence for one day, and it's celebrated. To this day, like people still acknowledge it as it's an independent, it's not independent because they're not technically independent, but it's a country. You have your identity. Yeah. And that's important. I mean, that's something that's inspiring. Even Cuba, the story of Cuba, Fidel Castro I know there's a lot of people that have mixed feelings about Fidel Castro and Che Guevara and all this stuff, but for all of their negative dark side, they're still an inspiration to a lot of people for their concept of at least having a vision for a country and saying we're going to try to fight for the right for independence, to be free of all these other powers. A lot of the reasons why Fidel Castro even rose to power and fought back was because of the United States influence in that country and the European influence in that country, in Cuba, and him seeing that although Cuba was independent, it wasn't free. It was still tied economically to all these other European powers, and he was seeing that they were an independent country, but they were being used by the United States, and these other powers. So they were looking for other allies, and that's why Cuba ended up with Russia, the communist, side of things. They ended up with those allies to try to help them economically to at least be themselves, be independent in a way. I don't know. It's a mixed bag. It's complicated. I guess it's kind of the kind of thing like what's better when you have to fight off an enemy and you're powerless. You look for help.
Exactly.
Anywhere you can. And that's how you end up in those situations. But I mean, right now Cuba, opening up again, and Fidel Castro's dying, and then like now supposedly they had an election, right?
Yes, they did. They had an election this past March, and Miguel Díaz-Canel was elected as president of Cuba.
That's a huge change from a dictatorship for so many years under one person, a communist, country, seen as this symbol across the United States as like the evil whatever.
Exactly.
But even that shows that a country can continue to evolve and can have elections and can grow and can evolve with the times. And I think that's something that, the United States, when we compare Latin America to the United States, I think there's a lot of masks and mirrors and mirages and facades and, cover-ups that happen here.
Just because you have the money, not even the money, because the United States government is in debt, but because you have people that are powerful within your country, because you have technology and because you have allies, doesn't mean that you are being progressive.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think independence is a great thing, and I think some of the things that we talked about earlier, as far as being an independent artist, also are true in this case about these countries and people, and the Latin American people looking for independence. You're looking for your morals, you're looking for your view of what you strive for as an independent person, and you got to live below your means sometimes. Sometimes if you want to be independent, you're not going to be a global power.
Exactly.
Right? You're gonna live a little lower than your neighbors. You might live a little lower in economically.
That's Cuba right there.
Yeah, but they'll survive, and they can have the pride to say we did it and we're independent and we're our own country, and that's the thing. That's, if you want to be independent, you have to sacrifice luxury and you have to sacrifice some of these things in order to achieve that. And I don't think that people from wealthy countries should criticize or judge poorer countries for their decisions.
Right.
Because you know what? They're independent.
That's true. Word.
You wanted me to teach you, right? This is street reality.
Hablando español, Carla.
Yes.
You have some words for me?
Yes.
What words?
Let's start with war.
War. Interesting. War. War is guerra.
Yes. Next one, revolution.
Revolution is revolución.
Sorry, I throw the R. Okay, yeah. Next one, Independence.
Independence is Independencia. Independencia.
Yeah.
That sounds weird to me right now. Independencia. Say it.
Independencia.
Independencia.
Yeah.
That was that little switch on the dependencia that I needed to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Next one, freedom.
Freedom, libertad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next one, how do you say patriarchy?
I think we said this one before. Patriarchy?
Patriarchy.
Patria?
No.
I don't know.
Patriarcado.
Patriarcado.
Yes.
Patriarchy?
Yes.
Patriarcado.
Patriarcado.
All right, that's a mouthful. Patriarcado.
How do you say church?
Church, Iglesia.
Yes. How do you say Creole?
Criollo. Criollo.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Creole, but it's not.
No, it's not
Criollo.
Creole.
Criollo. You know what throws me off about Creole and Criollo is that growing up, I first heard of the word Criollo from the restaurants
I know.
when they have platos criollos, sazón criolla, and only later that I remember growing up listening to the word Creole
Yeah.
in reference to the people of the South.
Yeah. Huh?
Like New Orleans and all that, and I never connected the two and realized that criollo meant Creole.
When I first read the word Creole
Yeah.
in English, I didn't know that it meant Criollo, meaning like the native one from that, or the one born in one country.
Right.
I thought like it was Creole, like the language,
Right. Yeah.
or Creole like people from South, or yeah. It's an interesting word.
Criollo. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the last one I will have, it will be Republic.
Republic. That's a good one. República.
Yes.
All right, Carla. I have some for you. You might not know.
Oh, nice.
How do you say flag?
Bandera.
Okay. Took you a while.
Yes. I was thinking about it.
All right. How do you say national anthem?
Himno Nacional.
I guess we won't be hearing el Himno Nacional de Colombia anymore at the World
Oh
Cup.
no, not anymore. Such a
Ladies and
sad
gentlemen,
moment.
as of now, Colombia is no longer in the World Cup.
Cup.
They got booted out.
Ugh.
I know. But
Sad.
listen, in life, as in soccer, there's a winner and there's a loser. And if you're gonna play a game between two, one has to win, one has to lose. That's just part of it.
More word.
And the beauty of it is that there will always be another game. It's not to the death.
We are ready for Copa America next year, next summer.
They'll come back to play again.
Yeah, definitely.
But I wish they would have won.
I know, me too. Now
right.
England is in the final. Can you believe that?
So
No.
so national anthem is
Himno Nacional.
Himno Nacional. All right. And then I think speaking on the subject of independence, you have elections. So how do you say election?
Elecciones.
Elecciones. How do you say candidate?
Candidato.
How do you say, well, president is pretty obvious. President.
Presidente.
How do you say? How do you say colony?
Colonia.
Colonia. All right.
Eso es lo que somos, una colonia.
All right. I think we got it.
Yeah.
I'm fully versed in all things Spanish now. I'm so Spanish.
Nice.
Thank you, Carla. All right, another one in the bag.
Yeah. Really?
Next episode is episode 35. Man, we've been busy this summer.
Yeah.
We really got tied up in a lot of other things.
A lot of new ideas.
And projects. And
businesses.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff that have busied our time more than we imagined. But next episode, we will be having a live recorded episode that we recorded at this wall that I was painting.
Yeah, if you guys saw our live on Instagram, that's the wall that we were at, and we're gonna have a live session over there.
Yeah, we had just a little conversation with Hef, with CTF, with
Virginia,
and also with Dr. Greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. Got sunburned badly. All right, see you guys next time.